Alright guys, we're back in the pole barn to continue our conversion. You can see we insulated the walls, did some work here and there, but we're going to start finish work now. I'm going to start focusing on this wall right here. We're going to get siding on it. First thing I need to do before we can get siding is furring strips to hook the siding to and trim. I got to trim out around the door and the corners so I know where my siding comes up to. Now to make the best use of the material, I've decided I'm going to put some really chunky 5.5 inch trim on the corners, on both corners of this wall. So I need some 5.5 inch boards. In our other barn, we have a wooden running shed. I actually had a big board laying out there. It's been here since we moved in that I think I can rip and use. We'll see what we can make out of it. 9.25. This is only a 10-inch board, so it's a 9.25 inches. So I'm not going to be able to get too out of it. Let me see how long it is. So this might seem like double working, but this board is only 9.25 inches wide. So I can make two boards that are 4.5 inches, and then I can take some scraps and attach it to that to make it 5.5 inches. So I'll just need a 1 inch wide scrap. So rip it and then add on to it. Alright, so that went really well, actually. Whenever you're attaching two boards together, you can pretty much expect that they're never going to come together perfectly. So you might want to cut them back even 1/16 of an inch, so that when they come together, that little gap and imperfection, they cut all together comes out to the right width. If you cut 4.5 in one, it's never going to be 5.5. It's always going to push over a little, in my experience. You can see we got our two corner pieces on. That's really good. I just trimmed the door out with some basic 2x4s. It looks really good. So now that the trim is all done, we got to put furring strips on the wall. I'm going to be putting vertical strips over the insulation so I have something to nail my siding to when I put the siding on there. I got all this pine board that we pulled out of our bedroom when we re-renovated it. This was the headboard behind our bed. And I saved it the best I could, but it is beat up, and I have no plans for it, so I'm going to rip this into wood strips for the wall. We'll see what we can get out of it. I managed to get all of the furring strips I think I'll need for this wall out of that leftover wood, so I'm so happy that I was able to put that old pine to use. So I guess I'm just going to get it put on the wall and get it done. Should be pretty quick and easy. So the other night I got started furring up these walls, but I ran out of screws. So we had to do a run to the store and get a bunch more supplies to finish this project. As you can see, I just finished up screwing up all these furring strips, and these are going to be what I'm going to be nailing my siding onto. We're going to be siding this whole wall with a white lap siding. It's going to look really cool. But I don't think I'm going to start that today. I think I'm going to focus on furring strips all the way around the room. So we'll do the side wall. We're going to do this wall next. And then we'll just move around the room and try to get as many furring strips up as we can. And just be ready for all the wall panels. Oh, and in case you're just joining us, we're in the middle of a pole barn restoration renovation where we're converting this space of our pole barn garage into a outdoor getaway entertaining space. So far it's coming out really good. We're trying to keep this kind of on a budget, but make it as cool and functional as we can. We got the room insulated. We're going to be putting siding over the insulation. And the ceiling is more or less done. You can see we used bubble foil insulation up there. And you guys might notice these cross members that I put on the trusses. That's actually bracing to hold our ceiling fan and some other things that we might have coming. So we just wanted to put it across the whole ceiling, make it even. We're going to paint all that black so it blends in. If I can get the furring strips done today, then I think I'm going to touch up the black paint and that'll be enough work for now. Hold it really super tight. I'm going to pull it, so hold it really strong. Hold it strong. More. All right, you want to hold it right here? Hold it super strong, okay? Oh, you can't see this chalk line on the foil.
I did it.
You did it. Good job.
I did it again.
All right, we got the furring strips done on this wall, and I'm going to take a break to start painting. So that feels so much better to get those little jobs wrapped up, and the ceiling looks pretty amazing now with the black everywhere. I'm going to go back to working on the furring strips now. That's really all my goal is today, is furring strips and getting this room clean so we can start putting up the walls. And you actually see a little hint of the walls back there leaning up. This project's coming out okay. We're doing our best. These don't have to be precise on the mark. We're using wide furring strips where our sheets of plywood will come together so that if they're a little off, we don't have to fight to get it on that little skinny board. Now we're going to be working on this big wall. You can see we put a cross piece on there. I should have done it on this wall too. So after we got done with this, I had a thought that I made a mistake. Whereas I should have put a cross piece across the whole top, probably even the bottom, and then filled in between them. So that when we put the panels on, it's not bouncy between it. It will give it rigidity at the top. So in hindsight, I should have done that. Board across the top. I might just come back at the end and fill in between each one, but that's going to make a lot more work for me and use more screws than if I had just done a solid board to begin with. It would have been a lot nicer. So you live, you learn. This is the last wall, so I'm going to get this done. I think we're done for today as far as this project goes. We're not going to worry about getting too much more done, but we'll see what happens. So in the previous video, we put this paneling up. We got a lot of odd comments about the lines not lining up. And I think what we did was confused a lot of people. Because I think maybe in the video, it looked like this was all one wall. And we just put two panels on a line from each other. And I don't think you could see that it's a shelf up here. There's actually a couple inches up here of flat. It goes back, so it's on two different planes from each other. So that's why we weren't concerned about the lines lining up, because we don't mind when it's on a separate, different plane. It's okay to be different. It gives more contrast and defines that space. And it doesn't have to be so rigid. You know, you don't have to be so strict with lines. You can have them line up and it would look fine. But anyway, I was working on this. I showed you guys me painting it. And this is going to be a shelf that I'm putting up here. So you can see that shelf sits right up there. I don't know if I want to go into the wall or into the shelf. Maybe into the shelf. Okay. So now you guys can see a little bit better that it's actually set in quite a ways. That's one more job done. I'm actually really happy with it. I love how this wall came out. We got a lot of attacks and criticism over it. People trying to belittle us and tell us how this is not like us and it's substandard and it's just a bad job. But I'm just gonna hope that that's all just misunderstanding on their part, because honestly, I think the one thing people need to realize is this is a pole barn. It's just a garage. And lines not lining up on paneling is just not a concern in our life. I mean, out here in a barn, I think it looks great. Ashley actually said that she likes it this way. I agree with her. It defines the space. It looks perfect. I'm happy with it. So, as you guys can see, we did finish off all the furring strips on this wall, except for the top. We didn't do the top yet. So what I want to do is just finish up these two windows in the room. And basically I just need to strip out around the window so I have something to attach the panels to here also. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of little strips of wood and piece it in. I got to figure out where everything goes. It's going to be a puzzle. So the concept here is that I'm building this out further, so when I put my paneling on here, it butts up to this, and then I can trim it out, and it'll look cleaner on the inside of the window. So I guess we're done today, but I gotta show you one thing before we go. Ashley and I have been working on fixing our little mistake we were talking about. Alright, check this out. We actually capped off the top and it was not as hard as we thought. Instead of piecing in pieces, what we did was we just put a piece across the top and we traced a line on all of them of where it sat. And then all we had to do was take out the top screw, pull it away from the wall a little, and we hand sawed it. I used my pole saw right here and it made really quick work of it, so we just chopped off the tops and then screwed the board in, and it looks so much better, and it's going to let the plywood sit on there so much nicer. We're done for the night, but I would really love to do the same thing for the bottom. You can see I spray foam down there. I had some extra spray foam from the door. We might do the same thing. Chop off the bottoms, put a bottom piece in. I was anticipating that to be a hassle to fix, but it was really easy once we just did it. So I think the bottom's going to go just as easily. If we want to do that, we probably will.
Yeah.
That means we're extremely close to putting all the siding on the walls and getting it sealed off and finished in here. It's really exciting. So I guess that's all we're going to have for today. We got some really cool things. We got our heater for the room in the mail. So that came, not in the mail, but UPS dropped it off. And I want to get the heater plugged or installed soon. So I'm going to really try to get working on the siding and stuff. I want to get that done before I do the electrical. Lights, ceiling fan. It's going to be so cool in here. Almost done. I'm excited to show you. And we got some really special features that we're going to be adding. So we really appreciate you guys following along on this barn conversion. And we'll have another video coming soon. So until next time, take care.
Bye.